Good afternoon, everybody. We are thrilled to have you in Fedderson Recreation Center and excited to have so many folks from across our great community here with us today. Let me introduce a few folks of the elected leadership from both the federal, the state, county, local, and from the Columbus Board of Education. And I want to thank them for being here with us as we make a clear statement about being smart and open and being America's opportunity city. First of all, we're lucky to have the best Congresswoman in all of America, Joyce Beatty, who's here. And we are in his House district, and he's been instrumental in getting us here together today. State Representative David Leland. State Representative Herschel Craig. County Commissioner Kevin Boyce. And our partners on City Council, President Zach Klein, President Pro Tem Priscilla Tyson, Councilmember Shannon Hardin, and because I just looked up and saw him walk by, Councilmember Michael Stenziano. Councilmember Jiza Page. Councilmember Liz Brown. The best lawyer a mayor could ask for, City Attorney Rick Pfeiffer. And from the Columbus Board of Education, President Gary Baker. Vice President Michael Cole, Board Member Ramona Reyes, Board Member Shauna Gibbs, and Board Member former Supreme Court Justice Eric Brown. Now I pause to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Forever hold your peace. The reason we're all here today is to come together as a community and make clear where we stand and where our values are as a city. And we are so grateful to have two very brave friends, neighbors of ours to come forward and share their stories. So will you please welcome Ms. Yasmin Abdurrahman to share her story.
Hello everybody. My name is Yasmin Abdurrahman. I'm from Uganda. I came here in 2005. All my family, they live in Uganda. I did my process 2006. I've been waiting for 10 years now to see my family to come here. And now we hear bad news, making my heart like somebody waiting for his family 10 years to wait to come in this beautiful country. We look for a better life. It's too hard to explain. I don't know.
Take your time, sweetie. Take it.
We need help. anybody can help. President Donald Trump, if you can help us as a refugee, as a migrant in this country. We are good people. We love people in this country. People in this country are great people. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin, for sharing your story. And next, we'll hear from Mrs. Diala Casas Alberini. Please welcome Diala.
Thank you, Mayor. This is my first time doing this. I've never expected myself to be here. My name is Diala Casas Alberini. I've been here forever. I have 3 kids. My husband is a heart doctor who works very, very hard, day and night. We hardly see him, actually. And my kids were traumatized when we had this last executive order recently about banning all the people from certain countries to come here. I was expecting my parents to come here and enjoy seeing my kids. While they're growing, they need somebody to take care of them, and I would be the one. And then they were in the final steps of being accepted here. They've been, I have applied since 2014, and now it was the last step to get the interview done and get them over here to be legal and enjoy me and my kids and my family, and we enjoy them since we actually lost our country, Syria, and we can't see each other anymore. And this executive order happened, and I don't know, it's all suspended. So we're just waiting to see all the cases that are just suspended, see what's going to happen later. It's not only about me, it's not only about the people or the cases here in Columbus, it's about cases in the whole nation that are suspended and still waiting in the pipelines and have no reasonable solution to them. This is a big issue. It's not something simple. It's not an order that it's been set and everybody has to follow. There are some consequences behind it. There are some bad stories behind it. There are families who are teared apart. There are some families who are waiting for their husbands or their wives to come, and they all applied legally. Just like everybody else, not because they're Syrian or not because they have certain religion, they are banned to come here. Now, maybe some people would say, why do we have to tolerate this? If people have problems in the other parts of the world, why does America has to deal with that? And I agree, probably at some point, but because that's what America does to everybody else in the world, not only to Syria or Yemen or Somalia, or that's what they do to countries who have even not problems or not political wars like those countries, who are really needed, unlike other countries. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope next time we will be getting together to celebrate something better. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause to Yasmin and Diala for sharing their stories. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here today. I suspect, in addition to Yasmin and Diala, there are others in this room right now with similar stories. And I know there are other people in Columbus separated from their loved ones, living in fear, staying in the shadows, beneath the radar, undetected. To all of you, I say, Columbus is your home. You are safe here. in this beautiful 205-year experiment that is this amazing city. We have been a city of immigrants. Germans settled in German Village in the early 1800s, at one time comprising a third of the entire population of the city. With the guy with the last name of Ginther, he might know something about that. The Irish settled in Franklinton and Flytown, roughly the present-day area Arena District. The Italians came in the early 1900s, also making their homes in Flytown, Franklinton, as well as what we now call Italian Village. And although I'm born and raised in Columbus, Riverside Hospital class of '75, I am a son of Germany, Scotland, and a wee bit of Cherokee Nation. Today, 9.3% of our population is foreign-born in this community, paying millions of dollars in taxes, helping to produce great goods and services. They're our neighbors. Our children study next to their children. We worship next to them in mosques, synagogues, churches. We're home to the second largest Somali population in the United States outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul. But as we know, if we're honest with one another and about our history, immigrant groups weren't always welcomed the right way as they moved into Columbus. Some were viewed with fear and distrust. We still have some of that today. But we as a community have to come together and rise above it together, just like we always have. America's poet, Dr. Maya Angelou, still teaches us that we are much more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. In a few minutes, I'm going to sign an executive order that explains where Columbus stands on immigration. And here is what is important to remember. This is nothing new. This executive order reinforces and expands what we have been doing for decades. It's also consistent with the policy of the Major Cities Chiefs Association and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. It upholds the rule of law and the diversity that defines our city. We welcome refugees and immigrants to Columbus. We will not detain anyone for immigration violations alone. We will not use city offices or employees to detain people solely based on immigration status. And we will offer the same city services to immigrants and refugees that are offered to all of our residents. To our immigrant and refugee residents, we ask you to stay involved, continue to create, contribute, and lead. This is not the time to live in the shadows. This is the time to lean in and continue to make our community a city of the future. To those born here in Columbus or other great cities across this nation, this is the time to renew our commitment to protecting and serving all who call Columbus home. Whether it's a veteran returning home from overseas, a young family building a home in one of our neighborhoods, or a refugee finding a home in Columbus for the first time, we must be a city that is welcoming and inclusive for everyone. I want to recognize the Columbus Division of Police this afternoon. They work hard to build and preserve trust with the communities they serve, including immigrant communities. So I'm grateful for the work they do, and I encourage you to continue to work to develop stronger police and community relationships, to share information, to make sure that we're all safer and stronger. So whether you were born in Mogadishu or Marion Franklin, Belfast or Berwick, Kumasi or Clintonville, Oaxaca or Westgate, welcome home. The future of Columbus is big enough, bright enough, and safe enough for all of us. It is now my pleasure to introduce our great partner on Columbus City Council to share a few words. Please welcome President Pro Tem Priscilla Tyson.
Good afternoon. And first of all, I want to thank our mayor and thank all of our colleagues who are here today for their leadership as we work with this particular issue that we're facing. I want to thank my colleagues who are all here: President Klein, Councilmember Brown, Hardin, Page, and Stenziano. Thank you for your leadership. I also want to recognize, I know we're here today at Fedderson Community Center, and the Center Director, Tommy Brown, and his team for allowing us in this building on this very special day. Columbus is a welcoming city, and we want to ensure that our policies make this city safe for everyone, for everyone. We continue to support organizations such as the Community Refugee and Immigration Services, showing the importance of the organization to our community, providing resettlement services and legal services to refugees and immigrants, as well as assisting secondary refugees and helping families be reunified when other family members remain in their country of origin. And since I've been on council, we have provided over $1 million in that effort. In addition to supporting today's signing of this executive order, I will work with my colleagues as they address additional protections for the refugee and immigrant community, such as Councilwoman Brown's Legal Defense Fund and Council President Klein on defining a sanctuary city. We must keep our city safe because we cannot subject our refugee and immigrant communities to unconstitutional and immoral standards that are counter to our American ideals. They are a part of the fabric of our community and should be treated as such. I'm honored to be here today to stand with our mayor and our colleagues and other community leaders as we take another step to make certain that Columbus remains an open and inclusive city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
A great partner serving children and families in this community. We are very fortunate to have the Superintendent of Columbus City Schools, Dr. Dan Good. Please welcome him.
Well, good afternoon. On behalf of the 7 members of the Columbus Board of Education, 5 of whom you've met and 2 of whom are here in spirit, I thank Mayor Ginther, the members of City Council, and our county commissioners for taking a leadership role in championing and advocating for those in our community who have been most impacted by the recent actions in Washington. On several occasions, I've been asked, how many of the 52,000 students in Columbus City Schools does this affect? Well, in all honesty, it's every one of them. Every one of them. It may be directly or indirectly a family member, a neighbor at home, or a classmate in school, or that classmate's family, or the family of a teacher or a staff member, or simply conversations in the classroom that arise as students share their thoughts and their feelings and their fears. Last week, principals in all of our schools sent home with every student a flyer translated into 6 languages, which we began with an important message for all to hear. Columbus is a welcoming and inclusive community. Hola, bonjour, surue, namaste, assalamu alaikum, in English, Spanish, French, Somali, Nepali, and Arabic. We made clear that Columbus City Schools is committed to supporting, educating, and keeping all students, regardless of where they came from or how they get here. Our schools and our offices are places where children and employees will feel safe, supported, affirmed, and appreciated. As inquiring and worried students ask questions in our halls and classrooms, we are committed to reassuring them and their families that we will continue to provide the same access, the same resources, and same protections that we always have. All children have the constitutional right to equal access regardless of their immigration status or the status of their parents. And as students and adults in our district seek to share opinions, our teachers and administrators are working. They're working to keep the dialogue open, constructive, nonpartisan. Discrimination, harassment, and bullying of any kind absolutely have no place in our schools, and we hope that the adults around our students and in our community, those who our young people look up to and often emulate, will share the same supportive tone in their own rhetoric. I've personally heard from individual teachers, custodians, students, both before the past week's actions in Washington and after all of the demonstrations and heated exchanges in the last few days. I take you back to Wednesday, November 9th, 2016, the day after the election. It was the monthly meeting of the student ambassadors, 61 sophomores, juniors, and seniors from our 21 high schools. And as they pulled their chairs in for the fireside chat with the superintendent, the time when they generally share what's on their hearts and minds, they didn't share. They looked at me and I said, "What's up?" And they didn't say anything. And I said, "Come on." And one of them said, "What's next?" I said, "Well, this is the fireside chat. What do you mean, what's next?" He said, "What happens to us now?" And it dawned on me, I was looking at a number of young women in hijabs that observe the Muslim faith, and a number of students of Hispanic heritage that may have been undocumented. And suddenly I knew what they were asking and that their fears were real. But I had watched that day Secretary Clinton and President Obama remind us to hold to our ideals, to hold to our principles, to fight for our values in the democratic process. And so through dialogue and reassurance, we were able to change their sentiments of fear and doubt into ones of encouragement and empowerment. And I believe you saw examples of that when 2 students from CAUSE, one of our high schools, led a protest at the Ohio State University yesterday. Our Columbus students and families know that there are a host of individuals and local organizations ready to offer assistance and services and protections, many of whom are represented in the room today. There's a sense of pride and comfort in seeing how this community truly does rally behind those who need support the most. And because of that, the question for all of us changes from what's next to what can we do to make that difference. And I know that this room is filled with people ready to make a difference. And that is something every one of our students and their families in our district hold in great appreciation. And we thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Good, for your continued passion and advocacy on behalf of all of this community's children. Next, we have County Commissioner Kevin Boyce, and I just have to say a word. We've talked, and President Klein and other council members made a statement earlier in the week, but the idea of this community coming together and clearly laying out where we stand from across the board was really an idea between State Representative David Leland and Commissioner Kevin Boyce, and I'm so proud of the way this community has come together for us to clearly state where we stand on this issue. Please welcome Commissioner Kevin Boyce.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, Commissioner John O'Grady, Commissioner Marilyn Brown, and myself, Kevin Boyce, we're honored to stand today unified as not Franklin County, but Central Ohio. And I'm so honored to be a part of so many minds and so many efforts to ensure that every citizen counts equally and that we represent the interests of those citizens to the best of our ability. I do want to reflect for just a moment. Oftentimes, you get to see the platform outcome of what we as elected officials do, but there's always a backstory, an undergirding, if you will, to how the work takes place and how it comes to be. So Saturday morning, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm reading the newspaper. The news is on, and I get a call from State Representative David Leland, and he immediately goes into his frustration and concern about the executive order, and we start a dialogue about what we can do to move the needle. And from there, I hung up the phone. The plan was, and again, I want to give you a sense of how we work together as elected office holders. But the plan was, when we get off the phone, for me to reach out to Mayor Ginther and to connect the county and the city together and have this conversation. Then I got a call from Councilmember Liz Brown, independently, and she said, I want to run something by you as well. I've got an idea and a thought about some of the issues that we're facing with this executive order, and council is convening, the mayor is doing some things. I know Congresswoman Beatty has been talking about making some moves and some actions, and so here's my thoughts. And so you've got this sort of conversation going early Saturday morning, and we're all communicating and working. But the outcome is this, and this is the important part. It's great that we're standing here, but it's the outcomes of the actions that matter most. And so this executive order that our mayor is adopting and signing, that our city council is leading the way on, really is a statement about the city's perspective and position, but it's also about you. It's about what you mean as a citizen to us as office holders. But I want to go a step further. Just a couple of hours ago, we convened at the Franklin County Board of Commissioners a meeting of about 100 to 150 agency leaders, organizational leaders, and folks who are generally concerned or impacted by the President's executive order. And out of that meeting, what we decided to do, and this is our action item, out of that meeting, what we decided to do, and I'm officially announcing this right now for the very first time officially, that we are establishing a permanent Franklin County, Central Ohio, New American Advisory Council that will bring all those agency service providers and organizations together to create a platform that says, as so was elegantly said earlier, you are a part of Columbus. You are a citizen in Central Ohio. And we protect that, preserve that, and we'll do everything we can to represent that to the best of this community's interest. And the real work will begin shortly. We roll up our sleeves and begin to look at legal services, legislative initiatives, educational needs, economic development challenges. And beyond the conversation of the moment is the conversation that goes on after that. How we continue to make Central Ohio a great place for everyone to live and, more importantly, to thrive. And so I'm so honored to see so many faces from so many agencies, from so many parts of town and walks of life that have come together to stand together for something that's much bigger than any individual agency or section of government. You're standing here because you too are part of this great community that we call Central Ohio. And so we look forward to working with you, and we look forward to making Central Ohio, as always, the greatest place in America to live. God bless you. Thank you for being here.
And we are very fortunate to have, I introduced her earlier, but if you know the tour de force that is Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, fierce advocate, defender of our rights and freedom, a woman who isn't afraid to march, sit in, demonstrate, yell, holler, advocate, to make sure that our voices are heard in Washington. Please welcome Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Thank you so much to our mayor. So much has been said, but let me start by saying thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for not only being our leader and leading this city, but thank you for your courage, and thank you for standing up. To all my colleagues, thank you. To all my colleagues who are here, and to this audience, so much has already been said, but let me say, this did not just happen. This happens because we care. Let me say to you, David Leland, and to you, Kevin Boyce, thank you for putting us together in this venue. Thank you for agreeing and being present in front of everyone to sign this executive order. And let me tell you what that is code for me. It's code for equal opportunity. It's code for economic opportunity. It's code for educational opportunities. And you know why? Don't look to us. Look to this room, and what you will see is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. So when someone asks you, why were we here? Why last Sunday did I go to the airport and protest? Why did I go back to Washington and stand on the floor and talk about democracy and equal opportunity? It is because of this room. And to my two sisters who had the courage to come and tell their individual stories, what I say back to you: two brave sisters, two brave stories that you can multiply by thousands of thousands. To you, when people say, why are you wanting to be, why did you participate in being a sanctuary city? You tell them because the heartland of it all in Columbus, Ohio, opens its doors to everyone. Because we are all the people united of this great state. So I say to you, on behalf of Senator Sherrod Brown, who stands with us in Washington every day, fighting for our democracy and fighting for our freedoms, this is not a partisan thing. And let me end with my story. You see, when I got a call that they were detaining a physician from the Cleveland Clinic from being able to leave the airport, I did not ask if he were Democrat or Republican. I asked, how could that be? When I got a call and they said, turn on the TV and look at your colleagues, Nydia Velasquez, Jerry Conley, standing up for an interpreter who they would not let leave the airport and be united with his children and his family. I did not ask if he were Democrat or Republican. And then when we got a call that one of our very own, right here in this neighborhood, this community, from The Ohio State University, was holding the wife of an employee at Ohio State, it touched my heart that that was someone that was a part of us. So you make the calls, you get committed to go and fight, because we are all brothers and sisters. We are all in this together. So I leave you with my commitment that I will join with my colleagues to stand and to fight and to protest for the freedoms of everyone. But I also will tell you, I am not going to be afraid to use my voice against executive orders that don't match the core values and the principles we stand on. And that includes saying to President Donald Trump, I don't stand with you, and I will stand with the people of the great state of Ohio and this nation at whatever cost it takes. And you know why? Because I am Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message. Thank you, Godspeed, love you.
Let me just briefly read the executive order that I will be signing. Reinforcing and expanding city immigration policy for all Columbus residents. Whereas Columbus is America's opportunity city, and that means opportunity for all who reside here. And whereas for over 200 years, the fabric of our city has been woven by immigrants and refugees from around the world. And whereas Columbus neighborhoods from German Village to American Addition, Highland West to Northland reflect the waves of migration and immigration throughout our history, and those neighborhoods make us stronger as a city. And whereas it is the responsibility of municipal leaders to protect the well-being and safety of all people residing in their cities, and whereas our city will be best served by reinforcing and instituting strong public policies that respect the rights of all individuals, regardless of national origin or immigration status, and promote strong police-community relations. And whereas whether we are native-born or new American, we all have a responsibility to engage actively in the success of our city. And whereas Columbus's future is big enough, bright enough, and safe enough for everyone. And now, therefore, I, Andrew J. Ginther, Mayor of the City of Columbus, declare and institute this executive order. It shall be the policy of the City of Columbus to actively support, to the greatest extent practical, the placement or settlement in this jurisdiction of aliens eligible to be admitted to the United States as refugees. City staff are hereby authorized and directed to cooperate to the greatest extent practical with federal and state officials in such placement or settlement. Number two, no city department or employee may use city monies, equipment, or personnel for the sole purpose of detecting or apprehending persons based on suspected immigration status, unless in response to a court order. In furtherance of this policy, no city office or employee shall request information about or otherwise investigate or assist in the investigation of a person's immigration status unless a warrant exists, a criminal violation was reported, or an arrest was made. Number three, no city department or employee shall deny equal access to city services based on immigration status unless required by law or court order. Such denial of access shall include, but shall not be limited to, soliciting immigration status in any application for city services, predicating the provision of services on the immigration status of any person, or delaying the provision of services based solely on immigration status. And it shall be, number four, the policy of the City of Columbus to vigorously oppose any effort to require the use of local taxpayer resources for the enforcement of federal immigration policy.